So we're learning on page 292. This is Igeres HaKodesh, Sacred Letters 27, Chav Zayin. We're at the Biur Ahalanal. This is the Alter Rebbe's elaborate explanation of what he said earlier. What did he say earlier? This chapter is one of the chapters in Tanya which explains the whole concept of Dveikus l'Talmidei Chachamim, and better said, Dveikus l'Tzaddikim, attachment to Torah scholars in general, but more specifically to Tzaddikim. And why specifically through Tzaddikim is there a hashpah, an influence that comes into the world in various ways. He based it on a quote in the Zohar. This letter was written in 1778 when Reb Mendel of Vitebsk, Reb Mendel Horodovka passed away, so he wrote a letter to Hasidim to continue giving the tzedakah to Reb Mendel and his Hasidim in Eretz Yisrael. They moved to Eretz Yisrael a year before. So the Alter Rebbe didn't want that there should be a lessening of tzedakah to the institutions. Hence, he wrote this letter to them. And he writes uses the term nachmam bikoflayim, to double the effort of consolation. And basically, he quoted the Chazal, Shavik chayim l'chol chay, that tzaddikim, that when they pass away, they leave life for all those living. And his question is, what do you mean they leave life? They've left life. They passed on. That was his question. And from there, he went on to quote the Zohar, where the Zohar says that tzaddikim, they spotted in Mahai Alma, that when they leave this world, they pass on, they're actually yatir me'b'chayoyi. They're more alive now than before. And the basic explanation is because they're not bound by any levush, any garment, i.e. a body. So the hashpah is infinite. The hashpah is 24/7. It's open at all times. So now he's going to explain this, and he's going to add a very important caveat. And what he adds over here in the upcoming beard is, not only do you get from the tzaddik, if you're makusher, if you connect to the tzaddik, and he spends time speaking about what that means, and what's the requirement of iskashrus, of connection, and without iskashrus, you don't have it. And when you are makushar, then not only can you benefit from the action of the tzaddik, but also from the emunah, ava, and yira, the midos of the tzaddik, the emotions, the feelings, which of course is a very, very important concept to be inspired, not only to kind of do what the tzaddik wants, but to feel that energy that the tzaddik felt and gave while he was alive should be imbued in you. Let's learn the text now. Is bir now, an explanation on what we learned earlier. Isa b'Igeres HaKodesh, we find in the Holy Zohar, the Tzaddikaya, this pater, the tzaddik who passes on, ishtakich b'kulu almin, is found in all worlds, yatir mi b'chayoyi, more so than while he was alive. So we must understand, Teinach, this statement of the Zohar is correct, in the upper worlds. He's found more there when he ascends there after his passing. But in this world, how is he found more now here, Avram, than before? Before he was here, you saw him, you heard him, you can take Sharayim from him, you can go to Fabringen with him, you can dance in his base medrash. Now he's not here. So what does the Zohar mean? Ishtakich yatir bechulu almin, in all worlds. That's the Balatanya's question. The Yeshloimar, the explanation possibly is, Al derech masha kibalti, the Alter Rebbe says, based on, it's similar to what I received, referring to his teachers, the Magid, etc. Al Maimon Chazal, regarding the saying of the sages, quote, the Shavik Chayim, he leaves life, l'chol chay, to all the living. Kinoida, as is known, and these are very, very important words, shechaye hatzadik, the life of a tzaddik, einom chayim besoriyim, is not physical life. Yoini, you hear that? When you look at a tzaddik, you're not looking at someone who the all end is besari. Kiyim, rather, chayim ruchniim. When you look at a tzaddik, when you identify a tzaddik, you're identifying with spiritual life. Ruchnis dekachayim. That's what a tzaddik is. You see his eyes, you hold his hand, you hear him talk. It's all gashmias. But what permeates the gashmias by a tzaddik is the ruchnias. That's the word. And he says further, sheheim. How is this ruchnias expressed? In 3 details, and they're very specific. Isser, emunah, in the faith that he has for the HaKodesh Baruch Hu, the yira, in the awe that he has, the ava, and the love that he has for Hashem. Ki be'emunah ksiv, regarding emunah, it says, the tzaddik, be'emunose yichye, the tzaddik, with his faith, will make others live. Uve'yira ksiv, and by yira it says, Igeres Hashem l'chayim, the fear of God is to life. Uve'ava ksiv, and regarding love of Hashem, it says, Reidiv tzedakah v'chesed, the one who pursues, who chases righteousness and benevolence and chesed, yimtza chayim v'chesed, yimtza chayim, will find life. So we see that true chayim, true life, is emunah, yira, and ava, the 3 details. Chesed, who ava, and chesed is ava. So that's why the 3rd verse is a verse that supports the concept of ava. And these 3 attributes, heim b'chol olam v'olam, they exist in every world, adru ma'maylos, to the highest of levels, hakol lefi erech b'chinas maylos ha'olamais, all based on the virtue of that particular world. They all exist there, but in a manner of cause and effect, as is known. In other words, how is the emunah, the yir and the ava palpable in each world based on the scenario of cause and effect? Behold, while the tzaddik was on earth, alive, these 3 attributes were in a vessel and a garment, shalahem, of theirs, gashmi, and this vessel and garment was a physical place. Nefesh hakshura begufay. This refers to the level of nefesh. Briefly, there's 3 levels that I'm going to discuss here: nefesh, ruach, and neshama. Nefesh is action orientation, ruach is emotion, midos orientation, and neshama is intellect orientation. So the Alter Rebbe says that while the tzaddik was alive, the modus operandi of the tzaddik was through nefesh, through action, and limited by the world of action. And therefore, all of his students did not receive rak ha'oris midas elu, only an emanation, a reflection of his attributes and emotions. V'zivon, and an emanation, hameir chutz l'kli zeh, which shone outside of this vessel, through his holy words and holy thoughts. So in other words, Isser, what did we get from the tzaddik while the tzaddik was alive? We got a mere reflection of his emotions, his ruach. Because what's dominant in a person's life when he's alive is nefesh, even by a tzaddik. So yes, there was some of the ruach of the tzaddik that shone through the limitation of nefesh, but nevertheless, it was only a reflection. And therefore the sages say, Shein Odom Oimed al Das Rabbi Adarboin Shnim. It says a student doesn't really comprehend his teacher's mind, he doesn't really get him until 40 years later. Because after 40 years, there is a certain spiritual maturity. But normally, it's not that way. But after the tzaddik passes away, because there is now a separation. Hear this, Yaini. There's a separation between the level of nefesh that remains in the grave when you go to visit a tzaddik, and the ruach part of the tzaddik is separated and ascends upward. In Gan Eden now finds itself these three levels of love, awe and love, faith, awe and love of the tzaddik. So on the contrary, now Yochel Kol HaKorev Elov L'Kabel Chelik, next page, M'Chinas Ruach Shebegan Eden. Anyone that is close to the tzaddik and wants to be close and exerts effort to be close to the tzaddik can now, only now, after he passes on, not only to receive the nefesh of the tzaddik, the action orientation, but also the midos orientation, the ruach shebegan Eden. Why? Top line, Moshe Kuf Mem Zayin, page Kuf Mem Zayin, top line. Hoyel sins ve'ena b'toich kli. Because the tzaddik is no longer in a vessel. His soul has departed. So while he was alive, as great as the tzaddik is, the energy of the tzaddik filters through the body, the mind, the heart, etc. Right? So how much of the tzaddik do you get? This is what I was telling you yesterday. How much do you get? That amount that we relate to vis-a-vis the body of the tzaddik, the mouth of the tzaddik, and the heart of the tzaddik. But after he passes away, you don't have the vessel to block any of the tzaddik's greatness if you connect to that greatness. So in Kabbalistic terms, Moshe, we call it nefesh versus ruach. And the Alter Rebbe says clearly here, when you go to a caver, the ruach of the tzaddik is not at the caver. The spirit is not there. You have to bring it down. What are we, people, we daven at tzaddikim's kvarim, right? It says in Kabbalah, the Alter Rebbe quotes it here, what you're davening to is the nefesh of the tzaddik. You're davening to Hashem, but of course, using the nefesh of the tzaddik to help your prayers be fulfilled. Nefesh is action orientation. That means the spirit, the inspiration of faith, awe, and love isn't necessarily going to happen just by standing by a tzaddik's caver. However, you all know, we go to tzaddikim, both in Eretz Yisrael, in Tzfas, or you go to Uman, or you go to the Rebbe de Oel. It's very good. But, and there's many, many miracles and many things that happen. But don't think that if you don't exert effort to connect to the higher level of a tzaddik, you're not going to have that inspiration. In other words, you have to separate between action orientation and inspiration orientation. People always ask, or people sometimes say, I went to a Farbrengen and I'm the same old guy like before. So first of all, I've told you what one of my mashpiyim told me. Imagine how you would be without going to the Farbrengen. You'd be a lot uglier. You'd be a lot more coarse. That's number one. Number two, if you go and you just go as a bystander and you just kind of, do your prayers and listen and all that, you're not going to be inspired. Okay, fine. And even if you get a high, it's from the action part. Oh, the next day I made an investment and it was gewaldig. my child that was ill became fine. I'll give you an example. Years ago, I went to see with a few people a Kabbalist in Dimona. He was a great nephew of the Baba Sali. His name was Machluf Lasri. I don't know, it's maybe before your time. Probably about 25 years ago. Look,
you told us this.
I told you this. I'm repeating it again because not everyone heard it at the time, and it's good to reiterate the Nakuda. And the point is, so I remember he told one guy, you have a pain in your arm. He told another guy, you have a kidney problem, but it's nothing dangerous and it's going to pass. He told me this, he told that, right? Now, that's, that is like Maisa orientation. Either it's right or not right, but there's no inspiration. What's the inspiration? Did he teach us a derech, how to serve Hashem? Did he teach me how to daven better? Did he teach us how to refine our character better? No. So what I'm saying is take that and apply it to our situation, each and every one of us who are chassidim, and we have a rebbe and all of that, everyone, depending on what chassid they are, you can have a rebbe and it's just all about, what can I do for you? What can you do for me? And once a year you get a bracha. The whole idea with the Alter Rebbe sees it is a lot deeper. That's why he's explaining over here that you have an opportunity after the tzaddik passes on to get something you didn't have before. Because before, the limitation of the body obscures the inspiration. Now that the body doesn't obscure it because he's passed on, it's 24/7 open bar, lahavdil. Anyone can chaparai. Anyone can, and not just the action, but the inspiration. Let's continue. As is known from a teaching of the Chazal, quote, Al Yaakov Avinu regarding Yaakov, Olav Hasholem, Shenichnas Imoy Gan Eden. Yaakov, when he walked into a room, guess what? You felt, smelled, and sensed Gan Eden in the room. So it says also in the book Asar Maimoros, She'avir Gan Eden, that the aura, the environment, the air of Gan Eden, Mispashet Saviv Kol Adam, extends itself around every person, not only Yaakov, V'nirshomim Ba'avir Zeh, and in this environment, there is a remnant of this Gan Eden, and over there you can feel Kol Machshavaisav, all his thoughts, V'diburav, and his speech, Hatoivim is good one, but Toiv Avodah Hashem. And Alter Rebbe says in brackets, and you're in parentheses, and it's in parentheses because it's not pleasant to say it, but he has to say it for clarity. And the same is true in the opposite, God forbid. If a person is in Gehenna while he's alive because of his sins, it's in your avir. And someone who has that sensitivity spiritually will smell it and will know that you are in Gehenna. Meaning, you did this sin, and for this you're in Gehenna, and you need to do tshuva. So, but the Alter Rebbe, that's a parenthesis. He wants to bring out the positive point and how it's relevant here. The Alter Rebbe is saying that just like it says that Yaakov Avinu, when he came into wherever he went, there was a pleasant odor of Gan Eden that you smelled from him. What does that mean spiritually? That means that he was the embodiment of Gan Eden. And Gan Eden is the world of Bria, the world of creation, which is the world of inspiration, of Emunah, Ava, and Yira, faith, awe, and love. So That's what it means when Yaakov Avinu came into a room. You felt his faith to Hashem. You felt his awe for Hashem and his love. And the Alter Rebbe says, not only is this applicable to Yaakov, it's applicable to everyone and available to everyone if a person lives that way. Let's continue. Hilchah, therefore, Nekel mioid, it's very easy. You see the words here, Chevre? Not just Nekel. Isser. Not just it's easy. Nekel miod. It's very easy. Wow. Really. The Talmidov to the students of a particular tzaddik, lekabel chelkam, to receive their portion mipchinas ruach rabam, from the spirit, from the inspiration of their teacher, ho'atzmius, his essential part, shehem, and he quotes the three things, emunosoi, his faith in God, v'yirosei, his awe for Hashem, v'avosei, his love. Asher aved behem es Hashem, asher aved behem es Hashem, that he served God with them. And not only will you have access to a reflection, a mere reflection, but to the essential faith, awe, and love. Which shines outside of the vessel. And why is this? It's because the tzaddik's essential spirit, it climbs, it elevates itself, elevation after elevation. I want to correct myself. I said that the Ava and the Yid and all that is in Bria. And Bria is not Ruach, Bria is Neshama. And here he adds another point. Remember I told you that Nefesh, we say Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. Nefesh is action orientation, Ruach is midos orientation, and Neshama is intellect orientation. So the Alter Rebbe says here, how is it that the Ruach of the Tzaddik is now available to everyone who identifies and attaches himself to the Tzaddik post his lifetime? It's because his Ruach, after passing, went up, a notch up, and went higher and higher into the level which is the highest level, called Neshama. And Neshama is intellect. So in other words, Neshama is not bound by how I feel. Neshama is the intellectual truth. So the intellectual truth makes it possible that the Ruach should be more attached to it than it's attached to Nefesh. So again, you have Neshama. One second, Moshe. You have Neshama on the right, you have Nefesh on the left, and you have Ruach in the middle. Throughout his lifetime, the Tzaddik's Ruach is bound more to Nefesh. When he passes on, his Ruach is bound more to Neshama. Yes, Moshe?
So, does that mean that when we're at a kever, and we're davening to the intellect of the Tzaddik? I'm still trying to understand, how do we...
No, he's saying, it's not when you're at the kever. He's saying that if you create a hiskashrus to the tzaddik at all times, doesn't have to, not only at the kever, any time throughout the year, you develop your hiskashrus to the tzaddik to the point where you identify with his inspiration. So then, so in other words, he brings the concept of kever as a limitation. And that's why I told you, I elaborated, that davening just at the kever is a limited bond with the tzaddik. It doesn't mean, Moshe, that you can't experience a higher bond, but that's only if you've created that higher connection. But just at the kever, we know, according to Kabbalah, it's the nefesh that rests of a person at the kever, not his ruach and not his neshama. What is that? His nefesh. His nefesh is action. action.
What does that mean?
That means that I need a bracha for children. You pray to the Hashem vis-a-vis the tzaddik, and hopefully your tefillas of bring. But you could still be a goylem. You could still not have any smarts and not have any understanding and not have feelings. But you just do. And the bracha comes. And most people going to Kvarim, that's their experience. Is that...
Yeah, but I want to make really what you just said. I know that there's different schools of thought. Some people say you're a tziyun of the tzaddik. You're diving to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, but in the schus of this tzaddik.
That's true for That's true. That's a truism for everybody. There's no difference in school. God forbid to daven to a person. It's avodah zarah. You're not allowed to. You're asking the tzaddik to intercede on your behalf to Hashem. But that's not the discussion here. Moshe, that's not the discussion here. The discussion here is, what are you identifying with in the tzaddik? His action, his behavior, the bottom line, or the inspiration and higher? And that depends on a person's development of his relationship with the tzaddik. That's what we're learning about. Yoni, you wanted to say something? No. Okay, weiter.
Yeah. Just I wanted to point it out. I mean, it could be that maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of see now where all the different deists now in Chabad are, meaning with the Mashiachist and the no Mashiachist, because what we're talking about what is it? Is it the Ruach? Is it the Neshama? Meaning, there's a lot of things here that it can be interpreted in different ways.
I disagree with you, and I'm not going to go into it now. Mashiachism has nothing to do with this discussion here. Nothing at all. It's as far as the moon from. What I'm saying is the issue you bring to the table is an issue, but independent of what we're learning. It has nothing to do with it. This has to do with. In other words, if you don't believe that tzaddik is in that caver, then you're either out of your mind, or if you're on a high level and it has nothing to do with this discussion. Here we're talking about the basic Jewish tradition of a tzaddik who's alive, and then the tzaddik passes on. How is it? The Zohar HaKodesh says that we have more of the tzaddik now after his passing than before. And this is the discussion. Someone who doesn't believe that tzaddik is there, then this is not part of this discussion right now, okay? I just want to make that clear. That's all. Now, even if you want to say, well, those that believe that the tzaddik is physically here or spiritually here, and that's not the discussion. We can't mix apples and apples. We have to stay to the text and to what the Alter Rebbe says, because otherwise we are not only we are misleading ourselves, misleading others, and we don't know what we're talking about. And it's laughable. You talk to a Ben Torah who knows any of this, not even a chassid, he'll say you're not b'kodesh, you're out of your mind. It's ridiculous, and he's right. Okay, so we have to train ourselves, and I hope. Please take my words as constructive criticism, not chas v'sholom giving you musar in a negative sense. But the whims of today, whether it's Chabad and Breslov or this or that, this is not, as we say in Hebrew, lo ola al shulchan malachim. It doesn't come to the table of the kings. Okay. Now, I know that you'll find some very ardent Mashiachistim and Nanach people and people like that and all that. They'll disagree. So be it. But we have Chazal to back it. We have the Alter Rebbe. We have his words. You take this sefer and you say, do your words fit into what it says here? It doesn't? Then I know what it says here. I'm a student of Torah. I'm a student of Hasidus. Feelings, no problem. That's why we said all along, and really we're getting off on a tangent, I really want to finish the chapter. The idea of feelings and that people have, it's not Torah. It's feelings. Have feelings. A Medrash says this, a Maral says this, a Gemara says this. Gemara says Rebbe came, Yoni, to make Kiddush for his wife after he passed away. It's a Gemara, I think it's Shabbos. No? When's the last time your father who passed away came to make Kiddush for you? Could you tell me when? And do you think it's never going to happen in your life that you're going to have him make Kiddush for you? I don't think so. My mother has passed on 18 years. I haven't seen her at my table. I haven't felt her at my table. Yeah, if I meditate and reflect on who she was and, there's an emotional feeling. What I'm saying is we have to train ourselves to discern between a world of spirituality. I'm not going to say, God forbid, fantasy, okay? I'm talking about legitimate spirituality, like a Gemara which says, Rebbe came to make Kiddush for his mother. That's a Gemara. And if you deny that Gemara, you don't believe in the oral tradition. Kipshutai. I believe that Gemara 100%. I don't understand it. I've never experienced it. But if the Gemara says it, the Gemara says it. The Alter Rebbe is talking about something else. The Alter Rebbe is talking here about how do we relate to a tzaddik after his passing to before. Chevra, I see the time has come. So as much as I wanted to finish today, we will finish it with Hashem on Monday. It's Pasha Zohar.
Yeah, my apologies.
No, Yoni, no. This is interactive. This is good. The Shir should be like this, really. We are going to be going down to the Windy City tomorrow on a Delta flight. Let's hope there's snow in the forecast. The plane will arrive early enough to inspire a 90-year-old man. His birthday is on Shabbos, and Moshe knows him, I think. And we'll be back Sunday. So it's a Shabbos of teaching and bringing. The topic is the 7 Chabad Rebbes, including the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid, a historical account to show the lineage and development of Hasidism from the Baal Shem Tov through the 7 Rebbes, because most of the people who chose this topic, they hear about the Rebbe. They don't know about the Rebbe Marash, the 4th Rebbe Rishul. What's he all about? What's the Maggid all about? So we're going to take a look at that and talk about it. And hopefully a 90-year-old person will have enough patience to listen. It's hard when you're 90, you've gone through life and you've been successful. You got a lot of opinions. And this younger rabbi from New York is not going to tell me what it's all about. So we'll have to somehow give him a little l'chaim so he fades out quickly and we can do our job. Great! Shabbos Zohar! Remember, erase Amalek. What do we say? Zecher Amalek. Right? You're right, because it's with a tzeirei or with a segel. Is it Zecher or Zecher? So there's a word, Abi Opmekin. Whether it's with a tzeirei, Zecher, or Zecher with a segel, Abi is in Yiddish, meaning at least. Abi, as long as. Opmekin, you wipe them out. So whether it's the tzeirei or the segel, we'll leave that for the Balkorei Yeshuls. But you gotta blot out Amalek. And what's Amalek? Doubts. Always suffix. Apathy. No excitement. Boring. You gotta get rid of that. And if you do that, you'll stay younger, healthier, and more inspirational. And that ties in with the Tanya. We need the inspiration from the tzaddik, not only the action orientation. Put on tefillin with a Jew, learn yechitas, go to Uman for Rosh Hashanah. Fine, those are all action orientation. But we want inspiration. What was the tzaddik's ava all about? What was the tzaddik's yira all about? And how can I bring some of his faith in God and his love and awe for Hashem into my life and my family's life and my community's life? Have a great Shabbos, everyone. Love you all. See
Thank you
you.
very much. Good Shabbos.
Yul
Thank
Shabbos,
you.
Igeres HaKodesh, Shalom. Bye bye. Regards from the Windy City. Bye.